the Spanish athlete there, Maria Forero. She was 6th last year, under-20 champion back in 2022. Could be a big threat. She's very consistent, is Forero. 13th in the European Championships in Rome over 5,000 metres. Viciosa, watch her as well. She was 4th last year. Now, if that name is familiar to you, Angela Viciosa, that's because her dad, Isaac Viciosa, was European champion over 5,000 metres back in 1998. She has certainly got a family link to greatness. She's one of 8 children, 7 of whom are athletes, and apparently they say it's like having a high-performance centre at home. Viciosa there. Says her father, Isaac, is the real driver behind that family of athletes. Mononen, well, she is many people's favourite, of course. 6th in the European Championships in Rome in early June in the steeplechase. She is a really high-caliber athlete. On the flat, not quite the same force as on the over the barriers. She's run 9:22 for the barriers. Her flat personal best for 3,000, only 8:57, but this course may suit her. Petrova of Bulgaria, 10th last year, the 22-year-old. She's at California Baptist University in Riverside, California. Yet another European athlete benefiting from a scholarship to into the US collegiate system. She's a 32.5-minute 10,000 metre runner. How will she go here today? She was 28th in the European Championship 10,000 last summer and hasn't raced since, actually. And Ishuk of Turkey, Rukush Ishik. She's a 34-minute 10,000 metre runner, the 22-year-old. She might struggle in this sort of company, although she did win the Turkish under-23 selection trial race on this course. So not to be written off. And the Turks certainly giving their all in the early stages of most of these races. So, about to get underway then. 72 starters in this women's under-23 race, 6,324 metres, the full distance, the same as the under-23 men's race, which is next to go. Mononen, of course, of Finland, carries the weight of expectation of her nation. Once a very proud and strong distance running nation. That's faded a little bit in the modern era, this last 20 or 30 years. They haven't had strength in depth or real consistency from many great distance runners, but she was 2nd last year. She is a steeplechase specialist, and Hannah, for those reasons, she was pretty strong favourite.
I think she does, and the bronze medalist Antalya, also of Finland. That's quite fun for them to have 2-3. She's not here. I think she's graduated up into the senior age group, so I think that does leave Mononen as the favourite. And I think the Spanish team are going to be locked in on the idea of their team gold, and they know if they can punch through the likes of Viciosa and Forero into the top 5, that's what they need to do if they want that team gold. But I think individually those two would have medal aspirations as well. And yes, no Megan Keith, the woman with the largest ever winning margin of 83 seconds last year. She's not there, but the British team have so much pedigree in this event. You can see Tia Wilson and Phoebe Anderson, 2 athletes that compete over in that NCA system. They'll be used to running in big competitive fields like this. They would have grown up on muddier courses like this than this. So I think they're well suited to this competition arena as well, and they'll stick their nose in. And Phoebe Anderson loves to front run. We've seen her do that on 5k in the track in Britain. So I think Mononen, she is the favourite, but the other athletes aren't going to hand it to her. She's not a standout favourite. They won't be intimidated by her.
No, absolutely right. And the Brits running as a pack at the moment. There's an Irish vest up there as well early on. But that's a big pack, and I get the impression, get the feeling, Hannah, they're running rather conservatively at the moment. That's 30 athletes. I know there's only a couple of minutes on the clock, but there's probably 30 or 40 athletes covered by 2 seconds there.
And I think, Phoebe Anderson just looking around there saying, where are the likes of Mononen and Viciosa and the other athletes that on paper should be the ones competing for medals. And I think you're right, Tim, to have that many people spread across the field. We did have that in the under-20 men's as well. That didn't really break apart until a couple of laps in. So it will be interesting to see who sort of takes the bait. But once you decide to lead, you then got that pressure that everyone else is chasing you. You're controlling the pace. You start second-guessing yourself. It can be stressful as well, but someone has taken the bait and the field is starting to spread out.
Yeah, one of the British athletes just hits the front, and it's Waldman who goes to the front, coached by Mark Booth. Was third in the trials up in Liverpool a couple of weeks back. 21-year-old Mia Waldman has decided that pace was just a little bit too slow, although she makes hard work of those barriers there, skips over them and loses a couple of metres to the athletes around her. Good job they're not in the home straight. Very slight, but moving well here and looking comfortable. Just as soon as she got over the logs, she seems to be moving at a better tempo than the others, and opening a little bit of a gap here from that big pack.
And I think that shows a certain sort of poise and experience from Waldman. If she's looked around the field, they've got better accolades than her on an international stage, many of those. But if she feels that pace is wrong for her, and that she's going to come unstuck and pay for it in the final stages if the pace is really hot on that final lap, and that's going to affect her finishing position, why not go to the front and push on? So Waldman looking good as well. Good move from Laura Mooney of Ireland. She definitely tried to cover that move from Waldman and make sure she made any sort of front pack if there was a breakaway. But you're right, Tim, the obstacles are neutralising that effort of Waldman, or maybe she's done what she wanted. She's got the race moving a little bit faster, and she's settling back into the pack.
Camille Place and Louisa Esmouni of France are up there in the top 10 or 11. They're going well at the moment. They're in Providence College in the USA. But early stages yet, only 5 minutes on the clock.
So this is the field just heading down the finishing straight for the first time. They're then going to do 3 laps for Belgium moving well as well. She's never been off the sort of front of that pack. But Waldman, still the athlete, just pushing, just trying to move it along a little bit. Olympia Breza, the Polish 10,000 metre champion in there as well. And I think over a 6K race at this stage, you might expect those athletes that are better suited to 10,000 to be leading, to want to wind it up. They won't want to kind of give away time to anybody that's more of a 1,500 metre or a 5K specialist.
No, absolutely right. Yeah, if you're a stronger athlete rather than a speed merchant, you want to make sure every metre counts, and you want to be pushing, redlining from early on in the race, staying the right side of the red line, of course. There we are, Waldman leading from one of the Polish athletes as Breza, Olympia, great Christian Olympia Breza, the 22-year-old Pole, in third place at the moment, fourth in the Polish cross-country championships as they enter this second lap. 5:51 on the clock. Viciosa back in 15th place at the moment. Her dad will be watching this one keenly, of course, a great champion himself just a few years back. Breza of Poland, who is a 33.5-minute 10,000 metre runner, hasn't broken 15 minutes yet for 5,000 or 9 minutes for 3,000. But so often you get athletes who are great on the country, just can't make it click on the track. You do get specific cross-country specialists. Irish packing well. There's about 3 or 4 Irish vests up there in the top 20 or so. How they desperately love to get medals here today.
Maria Forero just hanging out in there as well. You mentioned, Tim, that great run at the European Championships over 5,000. She actually became the Spanish under-23 national record holder with her 15:19. And we mentioned the junior title in Turin. That was really emphatic. It was, if you remember, the big hill. It went through a museum in Turin, up a massive hill, through a museum, and then flew down this hill. And Forero, she just took everybody apart down that hill. And we're not as technical here today in Antalya, but Forero, when you talk about that competency on cross country, I think she's naturally competent, and she's built herself into a track runner alongside it season by season, but she's perhaps back on her preferred surface. And a great 6th for her in Brussels in her first year in this age group. But she's got another year of training under her belt, and that 15:19. Forero, she's definitely kind of positively running there, a couple of rows back, but she's very much involved in the action.
Halfway around this second lap then of 4, and a couple of Dutch vests up there moving really well. Bieke Schichmeren, the 20-year-old, who's at Florida State University in Tallahassee. She's moving well. And her teammate, who is perhaps the more favoured Dutch athlete in this race, Emmy van den Berg, who was 9th last year. I saw her run to 6th place in Tilburg in the Netherlands in a big cross-country race a couple of weeks ago, so she's in fine form. She actually raced in Cardiff at the cross-country race in South Wales at the beginning of the winter and finished in 8th place there, so she's raced herself into shape. Mononen looking very relaxed and strong there, isn't she, in that blue kit of Finland. And Anderson for Great Britain. Phoebe Anderson, coached by Wayne Vinton. She's at Columbia University in New York. It's amazing, Hannah, the number of the youngsters in the under-20 and under-23 races who have taken advantage of scholarships in the American collegiate system. We owe them quite a lot, the USA.
They absolutely do, and it's across the board. So many European nations have youngsters out there, just learning their craft. I think, learning different training techniques, being out of their comfort zone that they've probably grown up in. And it does tend to develop a lot of athletes really well. Look at Mononen over those barriers. It's nothing to her. It's absolutely nothing. With the rest of them, you can see they've got their eyes down, they tense up, and they're really working over them. Whereas Mononen, it's like they're not even there.
Left of picture too. Looking pretty comfortable, just enjoying this ride through this middle section of the race. Great Britain leading with 20 points at the moment, but there's more than half the race to come.
A sign of the cautiousness of the pace that you mentioned, Tim, is that they went through the first lap in 5:51, whereas the junior women did 5:38, quite a bit quicker. I know they weren't running as far, but they weren't running flat out either. So it was quite a bit slower than the younger women.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Way races, without anything being said between the runners, just take on a certain hue.
And I think, I said in my mind, Mononen isn't a standout favourite, and that the other athletes wouldn't be intimidated by her. But tactics like that and paces like that just suggest that maybe people are waiting for someone else to make a move. And how many times do we see that with Jakob Ingebrigtsen? And we're probably going to see it later. Everyone just waiting for him to control the race, and then they dictate it. So I think perhaps this race, the other athletes were sort of waiting for someone to take it. And Waldman, she's done a really good job of getting it going. Sort of halfway through that first lap, she's sticking that move. She's still there at the front as we approach the halfway point, just about in the race. But Mononen is looking very comfortable. Forero is as well. And look at that! What a spread of nations in the top 10. We've got a couple of British vests, but every other one is from a different nation.
Well, this little pack of about 8 athletes beginning to ease away. Mononen just beginning to take control here. Just feel imperceptibly she's making them dance to her tune. Waldman doing a great job though. She really is. Tiny figure, probably the smallest in this lead pack. Forero of Spain looking strong too. Forero, who was 6th last year, plenty of experience. I said, my notes say she could be a big threat because of her consistency, and she's moved to the 4 now. Came 12th recently in the Seville cross-country, a really tough test of cross-country skills, that one down in southern Spain. The Spanish have a fabulous circuit of domestic cross-country races that have international competitors flying in, and they don't have to travel really in the winter months much than around their own country. 2, 4, 6, 8. It is 8 who've got away. And 7.58 for Poland is Olympia Bredza, remember, who was 4th in the Polish cross-country championships most recently. She's run these European championships plenty of times before, but never finishing in the top 10 in the junior under 23 races. She was 18th last year. Mooney's still up there for Ireland. She's having a great run too. Anderson right up alongside Mononen the whole time. Which of these athletes is holding back? Schlattmann for Germany going through. Pia Schlattmann, the 20-year-old, learning her trade. On paper, having a fabulous run compared with her track times to be up there in the top 10 or 15.
So Bredza of Poland is the athlete that's been dropped off the back of this. Next vulnerable might be Laura Mooney, the Irish woman, working really hard to finish in the top 10 here. Ireland with such a strong tradition of picking up team medals. And of course, Fionnuala McCormack with a pair of senior titles in 11 and 12. Some of those is Fionnuala Britton, maybe. I can't remember when she changed her name. But Mooney running really well. She's alongside the Frenchwoman Camille Place as well, who's just trying to hold on to this front group.
Well, just get the feeling, don't you, Hannah, that Mononen here is turning the screw mid-race, and she's upped it a notch. There's no doubt about that. Single file now. Mononen from Forero, who's having a fabulous run here. They were amongst the favourites on paper. Anderson in 3rd, Waldman back in 4th. The 2 Brits hanging onto the coattails of this pair, but Mononen gradually wrestling control here. The silver medalist 12 months ago And there's no doubt about it, for my money, this is a big move from Mononen mid-race. Just looking at the form of last year, and Mononen with Mooney trying to hang in there.
That's a big move through the field from Pia Schlatterman of Germany. She's got herself past Olympia Brezer at the moment, the German flying, trying to get into that top 6. And these top 3 are starting to just pull away ever so slightly. For me, Maria Forero of Spain in second place. She's looked untroubled so far. I think you're right, Mononen is pushing the pace, and she does look very comfortable. Phoebe Anderson was a top 30 finisher at that NCA cross country. She's, I think, kind of reflecting that form here, being in a medal position in the European Championships. Waldman holding on to 4th at the moment.
Well, Finland have never had a winner in this race. Indeed, Mononen's silver last year was their first ever medal in the under-23 race at these European cross-country championships. Blomqvist, her teammate, as you said, Hannah, earlier, taking the bronze. Ironically, it took them all those years to get amongst the medals, and they took a silver and a bronze on the same day. But in Megan Keith's absence, Mononen came here certainly with the confidence of somebody who believes she could win this one. She was comfortably clear of her teammate last year in silver medal, ahead of Blomqvist, her teammate. Battocletti, remember, winning the 2 previous titles for Italy. Prior to that, Anna Emilia Muller of Denmark took a brace of titles, but is today that of Ilona Mononen, or is Forero going to surprise us? Anderson has done really well to slot in behind this pair. These 3 easing away now, being dragged away by Mononen from the rest. Waldman trying to go with them. She's got to work really hard here. Not go redlining, but actually try and get on the back of that trio and maybe be pulled away from the rest. As they hear the bell this time, Mononen from Forero, from Anderson and Waldman. The Brits looking good in the team race. Mooney has hung on well in 5th place. Plas of France having a solid run. Schlatterman outperforming what her paper CV says she should be performing at. And Van Schipperen of the Netherlands, the best of them, with Bretzer of Poland and Van den Berg of the Netherlands in 9th and 10th.
Waldman of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is just about hot. She's in that 4th place, and what she needs and what the likes of Laura Mooney needs is for these 3 to take a break and start looking at each other and start racing in each other. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Phoebe Anderson, she's very much a 5,000 metre competitor. She has got strength, she has got speed, but she won't want the pace to drop at all. Mononen won't either. I don't think Forero is going to let the pace drop. I feel like unless there's a major breakthrough perhaps from Laura Mooney of Ireland, she was moving very well, that these 3 could be our medalists. We look at the team standings at this point. Great Britain from Spain, from Turkey. So great to see the host nation in a medal position at the moment. Let's hope they can hold on to that for another lap.
Well, Mononen won't want to let this pace slip. She's a strong athlete, not particularly quick over 1,500 metres, a steeplechaser. She'll want to make sure this comes down to a real honest, flat-out test of strength. Anderson matching her stride for stride. So is Forero, tucked in there behind her. The Spanish, always very, very astute racers. One generation after another of fabulous racers. And she has so much experience, as Forero. Like Mononen, they both performed at senior level in major championships. Plas coming through with Mooney and the tall German Pia Schlatterman. They're having their own little battle there for the minor places. Schipperen and Bretzer also up in the top 10. But Mononen calling the shots at the moment. And Forero and Anderson, Hannah, you just get the feeling they're hanging on here. Otherwise they'd be up alongside her, as if to say psychologically, which is always a good move. Be alongside somebody, you'd say, I'm comfortable. Is this the best you've got? But they're not. They're behind her, and I get the feeling they're hanging on.
And that 3rd lap was 10 seconds faster than the 2nd lap. They've come through in 5:04 there, so they are moving. They are getting quicker and quicker, and Mononen is the one doing that. But Forero, I know what you're saying, Tim. Pulling up alongside is definitely a psychological tactic. But Forero, for me, she's running into the back of her. She's almost being a pest, being right behind her, right, taking the shortest line. And Mononen, she's like the Spaniards in her blind spot, and that's almost as annoying as having someone alongside you.
Well, Mononen looks very calm facially, and Forero, just now there was a little grimace across her features. She's tucked in there behind the fin. Waldman in isolation. They're working really hard, has got to keep going for the team points, even if she can't get amongst the medals. I don't know if she'll get back to this trio now. They skip over the little brush obstacle, which is one of the most bizarre I've ever seen, because those brushes are very, very soft. It's almost like fur. They're not stiff. But Mononen and Forero now easing away, and Anderson looks like she might have had to ease back. A smart run from Anderson here, if she really is under pressure, would be to check and consolidate that bronze medal position.
I think it has been a brave run for Phoebe Anderson, and she's leading the British team, running very strongly in that team competition, but she might have to give way to Mononen and Forero here at this point. And I admire the Finnish woman here. She's not leaving this to a big last sprint finish. She's been pushing for round about a lap now, so that's a lap and a half before the finish. And Forero, she is grimacing. Look, she's not comfortable at all on that sand, and neither's Mononen, and that's almost let Phoebe Anderson back into the equation. But they've got one set of logs and the home straight to go. Someone's going to kick, and are they going to kick too soon, like you said, Tim, like the road mile mentality? Forero, the first to crack, the first to try and kick. Is it too early for the Spaniard, or is she going to win another title? It was a well-timed sprint in Turin, and she's going here to try and go up to an under-23 title.
Well, Mononen has controlled these last couple of laps. Forero and Anderson have been in her slipstream, but as they come down the home straight, this is the moment to achieve greatness. Phoebe Anderson of Great Britain to the left of picture, kicking hard down the home straight on this long downward stretch. It's about 500 or 600 metres. Hits the front here. And Forero grimacing to the right of picture, battling away, trying to get past Mononen, who looks like she's spent. The stride length has gone from the tall fin, as Anderson pushes on towards the line and looks like she may indeed here for Great Britain take gold. Her coach Wayne Vinton has done a fabulous job, because she has got 30 metres clear. It's going to be gold for Great Britain in the women's under-23 European Championship race in 2024. Brilliant stuff from Phoebe Anderson. My word. 26th in the NCAA Championship in the USA a few weeks back. Anderson gold here. She's European champion. Eda Forero of Spain and Mononen of Finland. And Schlackman, the greatest run of her young life, surely there, taking 4th place. Brilliant. Albeit 11 seconds down in 4th place. Plas in 5th for France. Waldman caught by a couple behind her. That's fabulous running, though, from the Brit, who may have laid the foundation for a team medal there with 6th place. Mooney, strong running from her to hang in there and place well inside the top 10 in 7th place for the Irish. Bretzer of Poland coming through, finishing strongly. Sahin of Turkey, that's probably their best run of the day so far, in 8th place. Bretzer of Poland in 9th. Dorfel of Germany in 10th. The Germans looking good in the team competition at the moment. Sipperin and Vandenberg in 11th and 12th for the Netherlands. McAvoy for Ireland in 13th. It's going to be very tight in the team race in this one, I think. And it's that Wilson taking the 3rd British team place in 17th. That might have good running from her. But there is Great Britain on 24, unofficially confirmed as team champions. In fact, I think we can say that is official. Turkey taking silver medals, was that?
It was wonderful. They packed so well, the Turkish team, and they were there or thereabouts the whole race. But that's a really well kind of judged race from that team, as it was from Phoebe Anderson. You said it, Tim. You said this home straight is very long. Why are we not getting some strange results? And that's what happened there. I think Mononen and Forero got caught up racing each other, and Forero kicked very early. Mononen responded, and both of them were just so vulnerable in the last 50 metres. And for Phoebe Anderson to kind of hold her head and stay calm and just attack down this long home straight was lovely. And I think that's an upset, really. I think it's not. She certainly has the credentials to do that, Anderson, but I'd say that's an upset over the other athletes and the performances that they've achieved at this level.
Well, Phoebe Anderson, European champion. Let's hear those words. She's only run these championships once before. That was 3 years ago when she was 17th in the junior race. Well, she's a student of sustainable development in the USA. She certainly has developed nicely today. I thought she was spent with about a kilometre to go. She looked like she was beaten, but she came through to produce a fabulous surprise win here in the women's under-23 race. It started off, wasn't it? It was a race of two halves, really, Hannah. A massive pack through the first couple of laps of the 4. Then Mononen began to break it up. And certainly I thought she was heading for victory as favourite on paper. But Mononen finishing in third to go with her second of last year. She is only 20. She'll be in this race next year. She can complete her set certainly next year, and probably the year after that as well. Mononen, who looks spent but disappointed there in the background.
I think that's a race that Mononen and Forero will watch back and kind of think, if only I'd done something slightly different. There wasn't a massive sort of commanding, certainly Forero, she only really made one move in the race, and heartbreakingly it was slightly mistimed. And Mononen, she may perhaps got caught up doing that thing where you lead but not fast enough to perhaps hurt anybody else, and then just got out sprinted, and it was whether she could have pushed harder. Who knows? I mean, that could be her maximal effort there, but I think they will go home thinking we got that wrong. Phoebe Anderson got it very, very right.
Well, Anderson, give her credit, got it so right that she won by about 30 metres. Her winning margin was 5 seconds at the finish over Spain's Forero. And those team results, Great Britain winning with 24 points ahead of Turkey's 38. That's a brilliant run from the Turkish squad with Sahin and Yilmaz and Bayir. Their scoring trio. Germany taking the bronze medals. They did pack well. Yeah, Schlattmann leading home Dorfel and Jurenka, her teammates, to take the bronze medals with 40 points, just ahead of Spain's 42. Brilliant stuff. In fact, really tight for the silver, for the second, third and fourth places in this race. Turkey on 38 points, Germany on 40 and Spain on 42. Very tight indeed. Ireland in fifth place, a fighting fifth for the Irish.
And that makes it 10 different countries already have won medals today so far, with 3 races to go. And Britain on top of the medal table with 4 golds, both the individual and team titles in the 2 women's events so far.
Well, that statistic, Mark, underlines too just what a massive sport track and field athletics is. By far the biggest of any Olympic sport in terms of its globalization. 40 nations in Europe, 38 I think represented here this weekend, and already 10 countries on the medal table.